There is a version of success that looks perfect from the outside and feels deeply unstable on the inside. Titles, money, recognition, momentum, and yet, beneath it all, a quiet erosion of health, identity, and presence. Today's conversation is about what happens when we stop separating mental well being from the rest of life and start asking a harder question. What does it really mean to live well and not just perform well? Welcome to the Wellness ReImagined, where we look beyond the surface level wellness and explore how mental, emotional, and relational health shape the way we are alive, we lead, and connect. I'm your host, Shreya, and today I'm joined by Alain Luxembourg, a reflective leader and father whose life story bridges success, loss, and deep self leadership. We're exploring the idea that a healthy mind is not one area of life, but the foundation of all of it: leadership, family, ambition, and identity. And if you have ever wondered whether success and inner stability can truly coexist, this conversation is for you. Welcome, Alan. I'm honored to have you on my show.
Same, Shreya. Thank you for having me today.
And Alan, before we talk about like leadership or wellness, I'd love to start here. Like, when you hear the phrase "a healthy mind is a healthy life," what does that mean to you today? Not as a concept, but as something lived.
So I think that in the basis, as a species, the definition of human being is that we are being. So we are with ourselves, we are being. And the society and life now has made us not into human beings, but into human doings. So we're not enough busy with ourselves, how we feel, how we reflect on everything that's happening around us, whether it's your private life, whether it's your own body. We're far too much stuck into, I need to be doing this next. And we work our way through life on a sort of tick box of to do lists. Does that make sense, Ria?
Yes, definitely. And like I'm really curious about something many high achieving people carry quietly. That is like there is an often an assumption that if life looks successful, the mind must be healthy. From your experience, where does that belief break down?
That's a beautiful question, Shreya, because I finished a book the other day from a priest, and that priest was talking about how much he was struggling with depression. And that was because he overcommitted of doing some speeches for different churches. And at one point, I think in a month time, he did over 20 speeches, and he wanted to tailor each message to each church privately and personally. And then he had a family life to deal with, so he got overwhelmed and actually he went into a burnout. And my first reaction was like, "But hey, he's a priest. He should be one with God, and he should be all okay, always with his mindset okay." And as you just mentioned, the same people have with high achievers is that, yeah, because we're doing a good job or we're successful in some form or part of a business, that means we're indestructible. But once you turn off the camera or have them at a home place, they have their own demons that they struggle with. And I think that is exactly the core of my message that I want to bring out is, yeah, I had some success in my career, and that's definitely due to hard work, but also a lot of luck. But I'm also in my journey where I'm struggling, and I've had over 10 coaches. I'm still in a coaching course now with somebody. So yeah, it's just life, right? So we're not indestructible. We adapt, and I think talking about this, Shreya, is one of the most important things.
Yes, that's really powerful what you said. And also, what did you learn watching success and collapse coexist in your own family, like that most people don't see until much later?
So what I saw what with having success was quite ironic because we had a big house, a pool, multiple cars, boats, and then I kind of felt lonely in the big house, and one of my best friends was living with 6 people in a very small house. And I was jealous because he slept with his brother and sister in the same room, and I slept all alone. And he always said that he was jealous of me. So it's always what you don't have that you crave to get or have, right? Um, but for me, it was normal that we had all those things and big holidays and stuff like that. When I had my 2 feet back on the ground, so to say, was the moment that, yeah, everything was taken away and we had people actually knocking on our door saying, "We're coming to collect your couch and your TV because you owe a debt." And that's when reality struck in and I realized something is wrong. And I kind of fled to London to work there for school. And I built my new life. I thought, hey, nobody knows me here. I can start fresh and prove myself. And I never want to have what happened in my youth. So let me try it that way. I don't know if that answers your question, Shreya.
Yeah, I think what stands out is like how easily external success can mask internal distress, and I think it creates a culture where pain stays invisible until it becomes unavoidable, and by then the cost is already very high.
Yeah, correct.
And also, the story brings up identity in a very powerful way. So, what tends to happen to a person when their sense of worth becomes tied only to achievement or status?
That's another powerful question, sure. I think the problem now is with people is that they see lots of stuff on different forms of social media, whether it's Snapchat, whether it's Instagram, whether it's TikTok. It doesn't matter whatever platform it is, but most of the reels you see nowadays is how to become rich within the next 3 to 6 weeks. Or maybe if you're not successful enough, it's 6 months. And then I'm talking about being a millionaire, having the best, coolest lives in the world. And this is what the youth from a very young age is seeing. And that is the definition of success. And thus, that is their identity. And anything less they feel that they're not good enough. So when they are young, they already grow up with the identity that they're not good enough. And that brings a lot of pressure and stress with them. And hence, also, Australia is now trying to ban social media until children are 14 or 16 years old. And I live in the Netherlands. They're planning to do kind of the same here as well, which I think is not the right decision. I think we should limit the type of content that you will make available for these age groups. And it should be more about education. But if you see something and you make that your identity, it will change your life and it will become your life. And as I will tell you a story, Shira, is one of my favorite stories is a man that was an alcoholic who was in prison and he passed away, had 2 children. They were twins. And they interviewed these twins 20 years after it happened. And one of them was in prison as well and an alcoholic. And the interviewer said, "Can you tell me about your life and how you came here?" And the guy said, "Well, actually, um, how else could I not become this because of my father?" And then they went to the other twin and he was a multimillionaire. And they asked him, "Hey, how come that you are in this situation in your life?" And he said, "How else could I not because of what my father was?" So it's really reflecting on what you think is your identity and what you want to achieve that makes your success.
Yeah, and also, how did witnessing your father's struggles shape your own relationship with ambition and self worth?
So in my own personal situation, it was from going to the heights of that what you can imagine to things being taken away. It's never nice that you have something taken away. Um, if you are in a shop and somebody says, "Congratulations, you won €100 voucher," and then afterwards they say, "Oh, sorry, no, I was wrong. You didn't win the €100 voucher." Nothing changed for you. You are exactly the same. You didn't have a €100 voucher, and at the beginning, and when you left, you didn't have it either. The only thing that's changed is the words somebody spoke to you. But as we both know, you will leave the shop a lot more annoyed because of that experience. And the same happened to me. Is hey, we had everything, and then everything was taken away. My life was still good, right? Healthy young boy and everything like that. But it shaped me that I was afraid of money. Money was all evil. And I had to make sure whatever I did is to make as much money as possible. So I would never be in that position that it would be taken away from me. And we had to move house, sell the house. Actually, it was by the bank sold, right, in foreclosure. So we had absolutely nothing and lived in a very small, tiny, yeah, mobile home for a while. So then I was like, okay, that's a big trauma. I realized late, and I'm gonna do everything I can to make sure that doesn't happen to me. And now I have a wife and 2 children, or my family. And I worked on this with my coaches, and now I'm in a position in life that I'm comfortable with talking about winning or losing money, and yeah, being okay with it. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it sounds like identity without emotional grounding becomes really fragile. Like when the role collapses, the person underneath is left without support, and that's where the shame and silence often take over.
Yeah. Right.
And also, like in leaders, parents, or professionals, how does an unhealthy mind actually show up in like day to day, even when people everything like from the outside looks fine on paper.
Yeah, I think where we are now in a society is that we, for example, if you meet somebody on the street, you can practice it yourself, right? You see somebody on the street, you know this person, or even when you go to the office, you see your colleague first thing in the morning and you say, "Hey, hi, how are you?" "Yeah, I'm good. How are you?" "I'm good, thank you." This is actually the most of the daily life that people are experiencing now in work or even in private life. But if you think about that very carefully, that's not really an actual conversation. So what I think is what we're missing is going a few layers deep, meaning that if I would see you in the office, Shreya, and I would say, "Hey, Shreya, how are you today?" And you say, "Yeah, I'm great. How are you?" And I would go back to you and say, "Shreya, you said you're great. What happened? How come you're great?" You will be absolutely shocked because that's not the norm anymore. And I think that if you have people that are struggling mentally a lot and they never get asked the question, "Okay, how come you're great?" And then you start talking about it, they already feel a lot better because nobody will ever say, "Hey, how are you?" "Yeah, I'm okay." Or I'm good." You will never say, "You're okay." Is something wrong? Are you really okay? And if we all move into this fast paced society a little bit slower and asking a little bit more questions, we can already uncover maybe 30 to 60% of people struggling with loneliness or mental health. Because, per definition, now most people simply don't feel good enough. And I see that a lot.
Yeah. And also, what are some subtle signs that people might ignore? Emotional absence, control, overwork, overworking that signal like deeper imbalance.
So, if you think about the deeper imbalance, is you see that people are trying to finish the conversation or the project in a rushed way. So they're not doing 100% of what they could do of the task asked, and they do it kind of in a mediocre way. And I see a lot of people responding to that. Yeah, that wasn't simply good enough. And they don't go into dialogue with that person. Instead of saying this wasn't good enough or just gossiping behind the person, saying, hey, you handed me in a piece of work, um, but it's not up to your usual standards. Can you let me know, was the task not clear enough, or are there any points that I can help you with to increase the quality of the work? So it's again going those few layers deeper to get to know that person and what they're dealing with.
Yeah, like what you're describing feels really familiar to many listeners, like not a dramatic breakdown, but a slow disconnection from presence, from family, and I think even from oneself. And also has spent years rebuilding from the inside out. When someone realizes their mind is driving their life in unhealthy ways, where do they actually begin?
Where do you begin if you're struggling in life at the moment? Um, that is, I think, the fundamental question that can help a lot of people, right? I think if you are listening here and you are struggling, the by far easiest thing to do is talk to people. And I don't mean like just chit chat, how are you, but generally talk, say, hey, Shreya, I'm actually not okay at the moment. Can you help? Or I'm just having a real bad day. And that can mean anything, right? So if you're having a real bad day and you say to me, okay, Alan, you're having a bad day. I'm really sorry to hear that. What about your day makes you feel like you're having a bad day? And it can be little things like I have a headache, or I was supposed to finish a project, but I couldn't finish it on time, or I had a soccer match for my children and I had to go and attend and I forgot about it. But once you start to vocalize your issue, an immense amount of pressure will be released from your shoulders. And people can empathize with that. So people will start to talk about, oh yeah, I can imagine how terrible that feels. I remember that time when I did something silly as well, and this and this happened. And that other person straight away thinks like, okay, I'm not stupid because this person also had something in their life. And that already kind of breaks the barrier of feeling emotionally depressed or sad or upset into actually having a genuine conversation. And if you do that 2 or 3 times more, it actually lifts you up. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say, Shreya.
Yeah, definitely. I think that idea of integration really feels central here. And also, even with awareness, old patterns return stress, pressure, responsibility. So, what helps you stay anchored when life pulls you back toward over identifying with outcomes?
As I said before, I think it's not. So in the 90s, we had these commercials on TV that you would take a particular supplement and then you would get a six pack or you would lose tens of kilos of weight. And that was the magic dieting pill. And I think this is the same now in life with mental health. It's people expect to take one supplement and feel better. And that's why there's so much addiction out there. It's you take one supplement and it gives you kind of this dopamine shot and you don't want to let that go. And I think with mental health, like I just told you, open and honestly, I am seeing coaches and not one, I'm seeing more than 10. And I have days that I feel very sad or even that I would say maybe depressed with all things that are happening in life. And it's all these things, the tools that you have to talk about it with other people. You can find online help or coaches that you refer to or talk to every day. A little gradual improvement in that will help you. And the metaphor kind of I would want to use for this is if you expect that every day for the rest of your life, the sun will shine, that isn't a positive thing. And that's what we're expecting. And we're expecting every day in our life that the sun will shine. But if that would happen in my country, there will be droughts, trees will die, flowers will die, etc. we need the rain. And when the rain happens or the clouds are there, we feel sad. But we need these days, the Saturdays, to actually get us ready for our life. And I think that is what we're missing. We're missing that it's okay not to be okay. And once we accept that, and we're not trying to push that under, like if you're trying to push a balloon on the water, it will come up a lot faster, right? And imagine doing that with 5 or 6 balloons is almost impossible. But that principle we're always trying to do in our work, in our private life, having different balloons holding underwater, but at one point they will rise above the surface and you will feel terrible. Let's just be present in the moment, feel what is happening, and know that this will too pass. This will pass.
Yeah, that this is really beautiful what you've said. And also, how do you model mental and emotional health for your children without trying to be perfect?
Yeah, that's a great question because I speak a lot about it with my wife as well. Is it doesn't matter what we do, and as a father, there is like nothing more that you want than that your children are healthy and happy. Um, but you also have a risk that whatever you do, you will give your children a trauma, and that might sound strange, but you see that in rich families too, right? From movie stars, you see it now on the news the other day. There was that David Beckham's child was unhappy. There's a kind of like a fight within their family, and you think, well, they have everything, right? They have the fame, they have the money, they have the glory. How come that they're not happy? And that is fundamentally is whatever you do, you will influence your children and they will get affected and they will get a trauma from whatever you do, whether it's not enough money, too much money, whether it's not enough rules, too many rules. So to break that barrier, and I'm not the perfect sample for this, Shreya, yet because my children are 14 and 11. So they didn't get into adulthood yet. So I don't know if I'm successful, but at least I can share what I am trying and maybe people will pick up on it. It's the little things. It's talking about it. Like, hey, I'm in a high stressful job. Um, doesn't mean that in order for you to feel successful or become successful, that you have to follow my footsteps. I had the conversation with them the other day. If you want to be a car mechanic or work in a restaurant as a chef, I really don't care. Whatever you feel that makes you happy, do it. But I will try to support you in having some of the tricks. So if you want to be a car mechanic, specialize in only Lamborghinis or Ferraris because then your value in the marketplace will become worth a lot more. And you can do the same job that you love, but you can ask for more money, if that makes sense. So it's all these little things. And I have a couple of other things. So every night before we go to bed, we have a thank you book where we write in 3 things that we're thankful for. Um, we have a good bedtime routine still, so to make sure the thank you is, for example, that whatever happens in your day. Yesterday, coincidentally, my son had in the evening a little bit of a bad experience with something at football, and so that kind of messed up his evening. And I said, "So tell me, what are you thankful for today?" He says, "Nothing." I said, "Well, are you sure? Let's start with your day. What happened and how did you go through the day?" And as he went through the day, he spotted more and more things that he was thankful for and that he really enjoyed. And you could just see his facial and mindset shift. And why I learned this from a book and why I do this is because when you finish your day on something that you're thankful for, it influences your sleep by so much. And I will touch wood. Thank God my children almost never have a nightmare. And I think one of the things that influences that.
Yeah, I think there is something deeply human in that, like wellness, not as a flawlessness, but as honesty, repair, and presence over time. And this is truly a wonderful conversation with you. And if after this my listeners want to connect with you, then what's the best way?
And the best way is to reach out to me via LinkedIn. They can send me a in message and just connect with me that they listen to this podcast, and we can take it from there.
Yes, and I will make sure to attach all these details and links below so that the listeners can find them easily and get in touch with you. And for my listeners, thank you for spending this time with us on this Wellness Reimagined. If today's conversation starts something, let it stay with you. Talk about it, reflect on it, and notice where your mind is asking for care. We'll be here next time, continuing to reimagine what it truly means to live well. And do not forget to hit the follow button, subscribe, and also feel free to share your thoughts because your ears deserve premium content. Thank you.